So last week we said that we're all stepping up to the magical mystery tour. Step right this way. And it's an invitation to make a reservation, to step up on that bus of awakening. All of us have already done that. We've taken our seat on the bus of awakening. And that bus is waiting to take you away, dying to take you away, hoping to take you away. Where does it take you to? It takes you to the seat that's been waiting for you since the beginning of time. It's got your name on it. Katie and Alan Held. These are your two seats for awakening. Take your seat. Take a seat. Sit down. Sit down. Be still an instant. Sit down. And when you do, you'll find that what you're given now are incredibly powerful cosmic teaching tools to help you clean up the window of your own consciousness so you can see things as they really are. That's the gift of what we've got. We talked about that last week. But then we notice as we sit down, oh look, there's a book here. It's another road manual. Life Beyond Belief by Alice Gardner. Everyday Living as Spiritual Practice. This is going to be our cosmic window cleaner for the next, 3, 4, 5 weeks. You can have your lessons here with us on Sunday and then go and deepen your practice on Friday. It's an amazing book. And when I saw that they were going to be doing this, I looked at the people who give it their word of encouragement. And 3 of my favorite teachers said, big thumbs up on this one. Adashanti, who I think is an amazing being, Gangaji, and Eckhart Tolle. And I went, this book is for me. And I opened it up and I said, this will preach. I'm always looking, as you know, Paul, you will know, new ways to say the same thing over and over again, to keep it just a little bit cleaner and pure in consciousness. So it's about awakening. And there is a huge awakening that's happening now on the planet. You know that. Billions of people are experiencing what Jesus and Buddha and Yogananda and Gangaji and Eckhart Tolle have experienced. It isn't just for a few people living off in the Himalayas somewhere. The teachings are now being called upon to be made known on earth. So heaven can be made known on earth now. We need awakened people embodying these truths now. And so she has her awakening. And it's not the awakening like we noticed with Eben Alexander, when he had his brain go dead, a doctor, and then he was catapulted into the realm of celestial classrooms and learned all this information, and then came back and experienced or taught about his awakening. It's not like that. It's not that kind of awakening. It isn't the kind that Anita Moorjani had, where she died on an operating table, and she left her body and then had another tour of the celestial, magical mystery tour of all the different realms, came back, and within a matter of moments, her cancer was completely gone, and she had stage 4 cancer. It's more of a kind of awakening like you and I have. It's a little bit more subtle. And you've had this as well, too. In 2002, after she spent 5 days at the Omega Institute with Eckhart Tolle, she had an experience of her core being, her presence, the essence of what we are, the Atman, the Buddha nature, the Christ consciousness. She said it was like all the layers of my personality, my thoughts, my words, my deeds, my habit patterns that I have in my own life and that we collectively share as a race were lifted. And she had a direct experience of the truth of who we truly are. And in that moment, her consciousness shifted out of just being a human being to being a spiritual being, having a human experience. She had a look at her own habitual thought, word, deed, and habit patterns. Like something shifted, and that ego, that's what she calls the mind-made self, was no longer the center of her attention and focus. It had been sidelined. And the truth is, it's remaining that way even years later. She said, my ego is still very active and alive. That mind sense of separate self, your ego, doesn't go anywhere. It's just assigned a different role. It no longer is the master of your universe. It is a servant of your teaching. In the Bible, it says it this way. Well, one of the quotes is, I must decrease so it can increase. Here's another one. Those who find their life will lose it. And those who lose their life for my name's sake will find it. When you let go of that little tiny self that's been ruling your life, there's an awakening that happens in you. And you are now under the guidance of a different kind of thought system. Not separate from the one that you're in, but what is in control is that presence and power that is in you, but also greater than you. And it begins to ooze forth through every cell and atom of her being. This is not a book about how to get out of your body and stay out. It's about direct awakening while you're in your body. And that's why I like it so very much. This particular quote comes out of the introduction, and it comes from a book called The Transcendental Unity of All Religions. It says, forms are to be transcended by fathoming their depths and discerning their universal content, not by circumnavigating them. One might regard your conditions, your circumstances, your challenges, your difficulties, not as something to get around and ignore, or now I'm spiritual, I don't need them anymore, but those very challenges and difficulties become doorways to be entered, or rather as windows, for the mystic doesn't leave them behind, but continues to look at them through them to the absolute that shines in the midst of it. You don't lose that part of yourself. You gain the awareness of who you truly are. And it's not by moving around the obstacles or pretending they're not there, but moving straight through them, letting them be doorways, portals through which heaven can be made known on earth. The awakening that she had, you've had as well too. That awakening is not just left to, well, now I'm awake and everything will be wonderful. The truth is, you are meant to bring your awakening into those areas in you that are not yet awake. Did you hear that? The awakening that's happening is not about getting rid of your human self, but awakening those parts in you where you're still stuck in your habitual thought, word, deed, and habit patterns, and not being overwhelmed by them, but passing right through them to the light that can set you free. Awakening is not what we thought it was. It's not a one-time aha experience, and now I'm always going to be in love, light, and bliss. The truth is, your human nature will not give up that quickly. She says in the book that voice, that mind sense of separate self, my ego, is still very active. It wants to take my awakening experience and put it in its little category. Awakening experience, that goes right along with all the other degrees you've gotten here. I'll take that. It doesn't get to do that anymore. She says, it's still there, I still hear it, but it doesn't take over the throne of my consciousness. What is awakening is her first chapter. And I want to go to a lesson summation so you can take a look at some of those things. And this is again from Ada Shanti. Are you missing some of it? Can you guys see it with the doorway there? Should I move it?
No.
It's good. You can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. It is a vital developmental stage for us to accept our humanity fully and to no longer resist it as if it were in our way, en route to our transcendent perfection. Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. And then from the book, and I love this, and some of you may not buy the book, so I wanted to let you see this because it's very important. Spiritual awakening is a beginning rather than the end that we have so often been taught. In order to live the truth that awakening brings us in contact with, there needs to be, and I love these lines, a relaxing of the conditioning in our mental bodies and the wounds of our emotional bodies. Not getting rid of those conditioned responses in our thought system or the emotional body, but a relaxed, you feel that difference? A relaxing of. Only then can we hold this realization in a healthy way, express it cleanly in the realm of everyday life, and then fully embody it. This process is available to us through the circumstances that our daily life provides, and as such is equally available both before and after awakening. Awakening itself may not necessarily appear to be a radical change point, but may, and I love this line, slide in quietly when we aren't noticing. It slips in right in the middle of one of those things that you usually act and contract around, and you find yourself not doing that. That is a miracle. Particularly for the people around you who don't have to see you play that thing out you've been doing for 50 years. That is an awakening moment. An awakening moment. So I woke up one of the days this week and it's like, this rain, it has been dark and rainy for 4 months. It's raining, it's pouring, and I feel like I'm back in Seattle. Dark, dark, every day, no sun. And then I started thinking about somewhere has got to be better than here. And so my favorite little tune came up. Somewhere else is more better than here. You know how you do that? That's one of my favorite hit tunes, my favorite country western song. But I don't believe it anymore. I said, well, good morning to you and thank you for sharing. But I think I'm going to take a little seat right now and relax my emotional and mental body and just be present for 45 minutes. With that which is greater than my rainy day blues. I sat with it as we do, and 45 minutes later, it no longer had center stage. Beautiful. And then I went over to the bookshelf where we have an altar. We have two bookshelves, then there's an open space, and on it we have a picture of Amma and Bhagwan, and an Om, and a picture of Jesus, and then patakas, the holy feet slippers of God. You've seen those. And I put my hand on top of the patakas, and I do what I do every morning. Please let me be an instrument of thy peace. Let me be a channel for awakening today. Let me see things as they really are. Yeah, thank you. And then I bow. And then I went, and by the way, when I was done, my circumstances were exactly the same. It was still raining outside. It was still getting darker at 8 o'clock in the morning, and darker and darker and darker. But I had shifted my awareness and my consciousness. I began to look out the window and see all the little drops of rain and how beautiful they are and how all the branches are holding all this water. I was grateful that we mowed the lawn on the one sunny day we did have on Monday. It was all there, and I began to sing to myself, what a wonderful world. How beautiful it is to see the rain. And then Maria and I, we got this early morning, well, really kind of crazy idea, and I want you to know the neighborhood was empty, the neighborhood was empty, the neighborhood was empty. We got in our four-wheel drive Subaru, and that puppy can do a lot of stuff that we've never done it, and there were huge, huge puddles everywhere, and it was pouring, blanketing rain, and we got in the Subaru. This was Maureen's idea, and we went flying through these puddles. Whoosh! Like a boat going through these puddles. We were having so much fun. We were like little kids. We were screaming and yelling. It doesn't get any better than this. Shh! We took the rainy day blues and turned them into the most fun that we'd had for the whole week so far. We spent 45 minutes going around, looping around the neighborhood, having fun. Do you see? That's your awakening. It isn't separate from your life. It's the portal, the rainy day, the bad mood, the terrible situation. The hims, the hers, the theys, the them that aren't doing what you want them to do. You don't go, well, I'm going to go on the magical mystery tour, but it can't be through this doorway. That doorway, that difficulty, that situation, like you said, Lainey, that's the doorway for awakening. You don't get to the light. You move into the light. It's there already. It's in the situation. It's in your challenges and in your difficulties. That's where we put the rubber to the road of our practice, right? That's how we do it. That's what we're here to do. Not get away from it, but play with it. Enjoy it. It's part of life. Watching those kids playing in the pool and the energy of the... I went, this is what life is about. It doesn't always meet my expectations, but I can use it for my awakening. Yeah? Isn't that beautiful? That's the good news of great joy. And it doesn't just happen one time. It's over and over and over again. So this book is going to give us ways and means through which we're going to practice everyday living in our life right here now. She calls it embodiment. We need to be embodied. We need spiritual beings who are embodying the truth. Because the shift is no longer just one person. It's happening collectively. The second coming of Christ is everyone awakening to who they truly are, collectively, as race consciousness. That's what's going on now. That's the great gift that you have, to be able to sit in this room and be able to hear what we're hearing now, embody what we're teaching, and make it part of your everyday life. That's what this is about. That's what we're being taught today, right here and right now. I have a friend who gave me permission to share this story. It's actually, it's Bruce. Bruce, after the first service, he was inside with him. We were standing by the food, and he said, I had this amazing experience. I had to do something this week that I didn't want to do, but that significant other powerful person in my life said, we need to do this. You need to do this. We have moved these 12 boxes from one house to another for 3 years, and we've never opened them. Anybody got those boxes? I never opened them. She goes, I want you now. I want you to go and I want you to open up these boxes, okay? It's like, but that wasn't what I was planning on doing today. I didn't want to do that. I want to do something else. So he was whining, and then he went and said, all right, better to listen than regret. So he walked over and began to open up the boxes, begrudgingly opening up boxes after boxes after boxes. And of course there were memories in those boxes, but there was something that was in this particular box that was amazing. It was a card. And it wasn't addressed to anybody. And when he opened it up, it wasn't to or from anyone. There was no date on it, and he didn't remember it at all. But when he opened it up, it had an awakening message for him in that moment. Not unlike mine, with your thoughts and your feelings. The Eckhart Tolle quote that we used today. I think I forgot to bring it up, but don't worry about it. This is just as important, where you get to really get a specific message designed by God for you. And this one was a message designed by the Beloved for you today. And he looked at it, and it just simply said this: I love you. That's all it said. I love you. That was the message. That is the message. I love you. You, yes, you. You with your problems, your conditions, your circumstances, your moods, your rising and falling. I love you. And he looked at the card and realized in that moment he was not loving himself. And so he accepted that love and began to cry and weep. That was his epiphany, his awakening. I love you. Do you feel it? That's God talking to you today, giving you a specific message of what you need when you need it. For me, and I didn't remember this, I was standing at that incredible altar and a book fell off the shelf. It became my specific message for that day. In Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. It said the same kind of message to me. Designed by the cosmic mind with the real you in mind. These kind of wonderful little playful hints from the Beloved sneak in when you least expect it. Here's what mine said. Whenever you are able, have a look inside yourself to see whether you are unconsciously creating conflict between the inner and the outer, between your external circumstances at the moment, where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, and your thoughts and feelings. Can you feel how painful it is to internally stand in opposition to what is? When you recognize this, you also realize that you are now free to give up this futile conflict, this inner state of war with yourself. How often each day, if you were to verbalize your inner reality at the moment, would you have to say, I don't want to be where I am? What does it feel like when you don't want to be where you are? The traffic jam, your place of work, the airport lounge, the people you work with, the rainy day complaints, the boxes somebody made you open. It is true, of course, that some places are, now hear this now, some places are good to walk out of, and sometimes that may well be the most appropriate thing for you to do. In most cases, however, walking out is not an option. In all those cases, the I don't want to be here is not only useless, it's also dysfunctional. Makes you unhappy, and then you make others unhappy. It has been said, wherever you go, there you are. In other words, you are here, always. Is it so hard to accept that? Is it? Huh? This is it. Nothing happens next. It's in the moment. It's in the moment that when you take your seat on the bus of awakening, that you're present enough to see. Look at this. In the pocket seat in front of me is a message from the Beloved. In the present moment, you'll be aware enough and awake enough to see it's some form of I love you with an everlasting love. Like Paula's favorite quote from one of your students was, Paula saying one time, "This is my beloved, in whom I'm well pleased." And you know who that beloved is? Sis, who is it? Who is it, Maureen? It's you. Who is it, Celestial? It's you. It's you. Open up the card. Accept it. I love you. I try to remember in my really, really, really good days that every time I walk into a room with a bunch of strangers, they're all a bunch of people who love me but don't know it yet. And my job is to help them remember. It's your job. That is your awakening. That is why we are here. Don't put it off. Recognize your true purpose today. Practice it, my friends. It won't just be for you, but for the benefit of all beings everywhere. Namaste.